We're talking about the Steam Deck. It's officially available to be pre-ordered, available to have Christmas. I'm Matt. This is Horky. We've got the stats here. It comes with an MD APU with a quad-core, 8-thread Zen 2 CPU, and an AMD RDNA 2 GPU with 8 compute units alongside 16 gigabytes of LPDDR5 RAM. So what that translates to is you're going to get 1.6 teraflops of GPU power compared to the Series X at 12.5 teraflops and a Series S Xbox at 4 teraflops. So I guess it's coming in more like last gen what the PS4 Pro is maybe doing. The dock is going to be separate. There's no price available for that. There's 3 models. One comes with 64 gigabytes of eMMC storage for $400. One with 256 NVMe SSD for $529, and the top of the line model has 512 gigs of high-speed NVMe SSD storage. That's $650. The screen is 720. There are 4 custom paddles on the back. Bluetooth, which the Nintendo Switch doesn't have. You can plug in your USB accessories like different controllers or, fight pad or whatever. They are saying it's going to have between 2 and 8 hours of battery life. They claim that Portal 2, which is not a very new game or a demanding game, at 720 60 FPS will get you 4 hours. So I would assume that's probably equivalent to like running an indie game, maybe Hades or something. But if you want to run something bigger, and they say you can run Control on there, Star Wars Jedi Knight, games that can't be run on the Switch unless you're using cloud processing, I would assume it's going to be knocked down to like 2 hours or less. You can also potentially install Windows, so you'd have access to things like Xbox Games Pass, Epic Games Store, Ubisoft, all types of cloud-based gaming. So, what are you thinking about this, Horky? Does this look like a successful product to you? Would you want this?
Well, first of all, I was going to point out Switch does have Bluetooth, but it's like they don't have Bluetooth audio right now.
Oh.
I think they may add that later. But yeah, so far this is the first one that we're going to have that has like a actual good Bluetooth audio solution, which is much more convenient than having the wired headphones. But yeah,
and it's something that I had on my Vita many, many years ago. But this makes sense. Valve knows that the PC crowd, they want to have accessibility, and it looks like they're going to address most of that. To me, it's like the trade-off is always going to be how much power can you get in a small thing, and how much battery life are you going to have. Like, it's 2 hours that's a luxury, but that's not really all that convenient.
Yeah, I mean, they don't really go into whether there's going to be any kind of like underclocking or undervolting options that you can do, just from the base system. But there's ways you can kind of help save battery life a little bit. I'm sure you'll find that once the thing comes out, there's going to be people out there, because considering this thing is going to be an open platform, you're going to have people who find ways to squeeze a little extra juice out of the battery.
Okay. Like maybe obviously like turning down brightness and all kinds of things.
And also just like supplying less voltage to the CPU. Because sometimes those things are run. I mean, like they target a certain spec, but like sometimes there's a little bit of wiggle room in terms of how much voltage is actually needed in order to power the thing.
Mm-hmm.
So you can actually cut it down a little bit. I do that on my laptop, and it does help. It makes the device less hot. Like, it helps thermal performance, and it also helps save on battery. So it can be a pretty big savings. I mean, you could probably squeeze like 30 minutes to an hour out of the thing, I would think, just from configuring stuff a little bit.
But that's also, from brand new for probably the first year or so, right? I mean, this is a lot of heavy usage going into this thing. So after a year, your battery is probably going to be suffering. I would assume that Valve, they haven't mentioned anything about having to replace stuff like that, but I would assume they'd make the battery replaceable.
I was looking at the back of the device to see, like, in the pictures, what does it look like? Is it easy to access the internals? Like, and you can see there's screw holes in the back. You should be able to take the thing off. I don't know how bad it's going to be, disassembling the device, because those things are packed. I mean, everything, I'm sure, is pretty packed tight in there.
Yeah.
I did notice, like, when you look at the joysticks, they actually show them on the site, and there's like you can see they're on a separate board, the thumbsticks. So, because I was thinking, people complain about joystick drift. If you break one of them, what's going to happen? You'd hate to have to replace the entire thing. So, at least that looks like, maybe I would assume repairability is going to be pretty high compared to like, something from Apple or maybe even compared to the Switch. I don't know. I'm not sure about the Switch's repairability. We'll see once iFixit gets it.
Yeah. I mean, we're so lucky to have places like Digital Foundry and iFixit that can get at these things, tear them apart, and tell you what you can expect. I've been pretty disappointed with the build quality of the Switch. Ever since I got it, I felt like the L1 and R1 buttons, respectively, are kind of spongy and springy sounding, and now my R2 and my Switch kind of, you pull it and it kind of like gets stuck a bit, and you got to stick it up. And I have not been a heavy user of my Switch. I've enjoyed it. I've really rarely taken it out of the house, but it's not great. And like I have the drift on the joystick, and it seems like Nintendo has basically said, "Oh, whatever, we're not really going to fix that." It doesn't look like with the newer Switch model that they're not talking about there being a new design to it. Who knows? Maybe they're being quiet with that because they don't want to admit that there ever was an issue. I've sent my Joy-Cons into Nintendo, and they send them back, and they don't really tell you anything. You just don't have Joy-Cons for a while.
From what I understand, Nintendo tends to prefer to use older tech. Like essentially, they want to use something that's well, this kind of runs counter to that, I guess, but they prefer stuff that's like sort of battle tested, even though I guess
Right.
these things are being battle tested right now and they're failing.
Yeah.
But as for the controls though, what do you think of the layout for the Steam Deck?
I think that I'm pretty happy to see that it can cover quite a bit. I mean, you've got what looks like a pretty decent D-pad. The joysticks look like they were showing those off, so I think they're quite proud of those joysticks. I like that there are 2 trackpads, which is
Pressure
pretty
sensitive.
handy. Pressure sensitive too, okay? And you've got touchscreen availability as well. And then you've got, your classic Xbox buttons, a start and select. I love the 4 paddles that are customizable on the back. Because I'm always thinking, like, for people that use controllers, you're stuck with your thumbs usually on both joysticks. So, like, why not give access to your fingers in the back, right? Like, it gives you. I don't want to be doing the claw. That's ridiculous to have access to it. I would like to get a hold of it and see how that feels with the buttons being way up at the top right. And I was watching.
Stuff looks very crammed, don't you think? Like, it's kind of mashed in there.
Yeah. So, and I'm kind of trying to figure out, like, how would that feel up there. But it looks like they wanted to give more of a preference to the double trackpad, which is I was a bit surprised to see, but I think it's pretty interesting. I started watching some people like in the advertisement of playing it. I don't know if it was just like actors being like pressing every button, but it seemed like they would often kind of sometimes press the right trackpad, sometimes the left. And I was trying to watch on the screen. What are you doing? What exactly is happening here?
Yeah, I don't know if it's like a situation where both of the trackpads kind of correspond to the same, like they're just sort of like 2 ways of doing the same thing.
Yeah, or if you can customize them.
I know I saw like the people who got hands on with it from IGN. I saw some like tweet where they're talking about how apparently it was like people were talking about the possibilities of like, oh, does this thing it looks kind of weird, like it might not be comfortable, whatever. And like, I don't know if this is lip service or what, but like IGN people said, yeah, I thought the same thing. Hands on with it, felt perfectly fine. Fact, felt really good.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I guess we'll see. Now I was looking at the the estimated delivery dates. I think it's Q1 for like the first 2 tiers of the device, and then like the highest tier one is like Q2 next year. So, we probably won't see it until like sometime now. If you want to get the high end, if you were to order it.
Oh, I thought it was pre-orders now, and then it would show up December for Christmas.
I think I think they're already getting filled up, is what I'm saying. So people are going to get theirs, but if you want to get yours, it's probably going to be like a ways out if you didn't pre-order it today.
I think it looks a lot like a Game Gear.
Also, one other weird little thing, like I don't know if you noticed, but did you see the storage that the entry level one has?
64 gigs.
This is not even going to fit like several of the games that they were sort of like promoting as being compatible, or like I think Death Stranding was one of them. It's not going to fit on the base level device. You'd have to get an SD card, which is also a lot slower to read from. Not to mention the fact that the entry level storage is slow to begin with. Well, relatively speaking.
Yeah, I mean, Steam is saying, or Valve is saying, that there will be no performance issues other than if it's a brand new game. Now we're seeing with this generation, it's all about the fast load. So if you are on that slower hard drive, that is going to affect what kind of games you can play. But yeah, 64 gigs. I mean, I get it. You're going to want, I think I would probably pop up the extra money and probably go for the 256. But I mean, you're
even
not.
then,
Yeah.
look at the top tier. It has you have to pay into the top tier if you want to get anti-glare on on the glass.
Right. So if you
Like the
compare that
premium
to a PC, so say you put it out the money and you got the $650. I mean, that's still cheaper than buying. Well, this I guess what's the price of a graphics
right?
card and a 512 gigabyte fast high speed SSD and a basic computer? I think altogether that's probably still cheaper than that.
Yeah, I mean the device is cheaper. See, I find the problem is like when I consider whether I would buy this thing. First thing I'm looking at is like, okay, do I really need something to play on the go? Like, I feel like the Switch kind of excels in this area because they don't need the performance for their games. Their games are perfectly good, with what they've got already. I mean, well, there's some slowdown in some games, but nevertheless, I think they've mostly covered what they've got. And I think they edge out some of the extra battery life as a result too.
Right.
But if you aren't going to take this thing around a lot of places, it's kind of like, what's the point, in my opinion? Because I'd rather put that money, like you said, I'd rather just invest that money toward a much better or much more capable graphics card. Or if you've already got the graphics card, maybe invest in VR. You get a really good VR headset for that amount.
Well, also with cloud gaming, if you're in a spot where you're gonna have, like, if data is not an issue to you or access to Wi-Fi, you could cloud stream a lot of your games, or there. I mean, Steam has already some kind of like Steam streaming
Big
thing
picture mode. Oh yeah, that whatever. Yeah, I can't remember the name of the
where
particular one.
like you can run it on a tab. Where if you did just put that money into having a killer PC at home that can actually run all the games properly, and then you can just whip it out on your phone, right? And you can get, like, for $40, you can get a really nice Bluetooth controller that holds your phone.
Mm-hmm.
So, but that's not going to be an option for everybody, and that's also not going to be. There's going to be latency as well, so it's not a great solution.
That does also bring up something that I had considered this as well. Like, if they didn't do this, like if they didn't go in the direction they did with this thing, what else could they have done? Because I was thinking like, okay, well, maybe tone down on the power of the CPU and the graphics card, make the battery really big, and then go all in on streaming and have everything streamed, make it compatible with like Games Pass or whatever else is out there, and then just have it so you can stream the games and like you get way better battery life. Yeah, there is the latency. I don't know how bad that might be.
But then you would need like a data plan or access to Wi-Fi, or would it have its own kind of network thing? That would seem so drastically different, where it would be more like you would sell it for what, like $150 or something, just with a big giant bed. It's all it does is streams and has great controls.
I just, like looking at what they offer,
And a screen.
like the compute inside is great for the package that, like for the portability it offers, but the screen is kind of lackluster. Like I would kind of rather have a device that has a much better screen, way more battery life, and then that's most of what I want, because I don't really expect a portable device to be able to handle the titles at the same level that my computers, because I've got a desktop and it's like, why am I going to play the game on this? Like the only compelling reason is if you're out and about, and even then it's like, what demographic are we talking about? Because if you're doing this as like somebody who's just working, like, I mean, I guess then you only have a small break. So if you just want to play an hour or something at lunch or whatever, maybe that works out pretty well.
Like a commute.
Your commute.
Yeah, you do it in your commute, and then you charge it in at work, and then
somebody mugs you because they saw you playing on your Steam Deck.
Oh, is that the 512 gigabyte version?
I don't see any glare in that one.
It could be one of those things where people didn't think an iPad was a good idea because they go, I mean, it's just bigger than an iPhone. Yeah. It's so stupid. But if you've got, I don't know, you got kids, or maybe you're just sort of tired at the end of the day and you don't want to go into your den. Maybe you want to sit with your partner, your baby's in your lap. I don't know. maybe you would just have that as you're on the couch, and it might be one of those things where you use it more than you think you would.
I think that's even more compelling reason to have like the streaming light
Yeah,
option,
yeah,
because if you can have your desktop and then it's on your local network, so like
yeah.
latency is not a problem at all. So it's like, yeah, that's the perfect use case for going with that route. And I kind of wish that's more like what I'd probably end up doing.
Yeah.
So it's like I would love to have a light device with a really good screen on it,
But I
better
mean,
speakers maybe. I don't know.
an iPad can do this, a phone can do this, most tablets can do it. The PS Vita can stream, from your PS5 and your PS4, and they do it really, really well. And it's already something you have on you,
Yeah.
and is established. Like, I know what you're talking about. Like, okay, they want everything to run, so you're stuck with a lower quality screen, 720, 60. Whereas, I mean, you have a nice new iPad or a new tablet, and
Yeah.
that's a beautiful screen.
120 hertz.
Yeah, and it's going to be running off of your
Active.
actual desktop computer, so it's going to be kick ass. Because the thing with PCs, there's just such a wide range of, are you wanting to run the latest and greatest game with everything, or are you just wanting to play Hades or something? But and then it's like, well, the Switch does that and has great battery life. I have a feeling the buttons on this Steam Deck are going to be a lot better. I don't like to play anything too intense on a Switch. Like, trying to play Hades with the Joy-Con is not that fun.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just like the I'm going to be a holdout here with regard to that, because I mean, like, look at what happened with some of the other Valve hardware.
Okay.
Like, we don't see people purchasing it left and right, and even like devices that are supposed to be ergonomic. Supposedly, the Valve Index controllers aren't even like really wonderful to hold for long play sessions.
Oh.
And I don't know about the joystick on those. Like, if those are, if those show similar signs of wear or what. I don't really know. I haven't heard stellar things in that department.
Mhm.
They just happen to put together a really good. I don't know. Index is pretty expensive, but I hear Valve tends to. They don't really sell at a huge profit when it comes to their hardware. So like, you're kind of getting stuff nearly at cost, and that could be kind of good. Like, I mean, I like that, but I don't know. I'm a little pessimistic on the experience. Like, do I want to shell out that money for, I don't need to. So
Yeah.
I'd probably rather buy something else with that amount.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, okay, so who's going to be the target audience? Somebody that is thinking, okay, my computer's old. Do I buy a new one right now, or do I get this? Or I have a gigantic PC library. It makes way more sense for me. That's the main thing, is that you're getting people that have invested. If you've been investing in your PC library for the last couple of years, you have a lot of games. If you pay attention to when there's sales, you probably have hundreds of games, if not 1,000.
We've also been ignoring one other aspect.
Oh.
Is piracy and emulation, because
Oh,
it's an
right.
open platform. You basically have more old Nintendo games on a portable device than
Than the
Nintendo
Switch.
has ever allowed.
Yeah, that's right. That's absolutely
And you can
right.
you could probably run Switch games, honestly. Like,
Yep.
if the emulator can be handled on that device, you've got a Nintendo Switch basically.
You have the Switch Pro.
And yeah.
No, you're totally right. I mean, having Windows on there, and that would also boost up the battery life for a lot of things too. I mean, if you're just running.
You don't even need Windows. Like, it's running Linux. It's running Arch Linux, as far as I know.
Oh.
And you can just run native Linux emulators that can just play the ROMs directly from there. And I don't know what that's going to look like, whether you're going to have to get like a special custom version of SteamOS 3 in order to have that stuff built into the experience, because Valve's not going to want to make it so you can just easily launch those things like from the get-go. Like, they're kind of going to want to have you do that stuff yourself. Like, they're not going to take that cost.
Here's something else to consider. Kotaku reporting that Valve Steam Deck might not run Destiny, Apex Legends, or PUBG. And I mean, if you're thinking about people that are into these games that are commitment games where you got to play every day, that would make sense for them to go, oh, I just want to hop on and do my daily or something, or like, I'm watching TV or a movie, I'm going to grind out some Destiny. I think it has something to do with
emulation. Like, it doesn't run on Proton.
Proton.
Proton's like their It's like that what allows you to run Windows only games in Linux. It emulates like some API calls that
Oh,
that can be used. So it kind of simulates the bare minimum of what you need in order to run something that
okay.
normally would need a Windows graphics API.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like it's confirmed, but it definitely, they say it does not currently work with Valve's Proton feature.
Yeah, I guess they're probably figuring out like, these are the games that I already know not to work with Proton, and yeah, finding the biggest names in those. Yeah, yeah,
All
that could
right.
be a problem.
I'm also wondering, okay, what's going to happen in 2 or 3 years as the hardware moves on? Are they going to keep releasing updates? Is there going to be the Steam Deck 1.2, 1.5, 2, the Steam Deck Pro or whatever? Are they just going to keep updating this because it's pretty custom hardware inside, right?
hmm Yeah, like I know that's a good point because like I think Valve is expected to drop a new VR headset sometime maybe this year, but who knows when. It's just like people just expect it, I guess.
Hmm.
And I guess like that's kind of a glimpse. Like what they do there is maybe what to expect for the Steam Deck. You know,
Okay.
I'm not sure what route they'll go, but
So is there anything that would get you to buy this? I mean, if this thing could run Microsoft Flight Simulator, I'd be pretty into it. I don't have a huge Steam library, so I don't think I'm the target audience for it. I think it's for people that have a massive investment in it and they go, why not? Because like, why get a Switch and have to pay top dollar to rebuy all these games if you can just? And also, like, I mean, the more I think about the emulation part of it, that is pretty mind blowing. You're gonna have access
yeah,
to everything that you'll probably never play.
all PlayStation games, PlayStation 2 games. Probably
All
could
yeah,
run
all
some
that stuff that
original
you spend a
Xbox
lot of time
games.
downloading and setting up, getting all the batch files for the BIOSes, and then you just never play it. Your friend comes over one time, you show them, look, Resident Evil 2, cool. Every
I
NES
just
game.
I don't think there's much like that. I don't think I'll get it anytime soon. I don't plan on getting it.
No,
Um,
I think we need
I
to
just
really see somebody put it through its paces as well.
like I want to see Valve's commitment. Number one, I want a better screen. Number two, and three, like I just don't really have a use case for it right now. I mean that could change in 6 months. If like I had a drastically different commute, or if I had a drastically different schedule, like say I needed to take business trips or something,
Hmm.
then I don't know. I might consider it.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Like the
Yeah,
person on the go, or somebody in a place like Japan where having something really small is perfect. That's a really good point. There are some people that have been playing PC games their whole life, and now they're in a situation where they just this might be like a dream for them to be able to get back
hmm
into their PC gaming because they go, oh sweet, I can just turn this on and I only need to play an hour at a time here and there.
yeah.
Or you're stuck in
I
a
want to know if
hotel
the
room.
thing will it charge? Like, can you run a AAA title on the thing and have it charge simultaneously, or is it going to be like enough of a load
Right.
onto the system that it actually is draining the battery while you're charging it? Like,
I know that
'cause,
the
I mean
the
that
Switch
happens.
sort of
That happens
gets
on some
will
devices.
stop at about 88%. See, if you're charging it and playing something, high brightness and everything.
Yeah, I just have a feeling like some of those more intensive titles, like I don't know what like it has USB-C, so presumably it has like fast charging, like power delivery or whatever
Yeah.
built in. So
All right. Well, I mean, I'm glad it's out. I can't wait to just touch one somewhere, maybe at like a Best Buy, and just feel those buttons. And
feel those
then,
knobs.
yeah, get my knob off. All right. Thanks for
Swivel.
chatting about it, Horky.
Yeah, it's fun.
Bye.